Hideo Kojima is easily one of the most talented and creative game directors out there, delivering some of the most cinematic experiences in gaming. During his time at Konami, Hideo Kojima delivered some of the best and most endearing games of all time, from the original Metal Gear Solid to the brilliant Metal Gear Solid 3 to many other titles as well. But it wasn't until the development of Metal Gear Solid 5 that was when things started to turn sour. The Phantom Pain launched part finished, and Konami scrapped PT and many other games in development. And then, in a very public breakdown between Konami and Kojima, he left the company after the release of Metal Gear Solid, and soon after that he set up his own independent game studio with many of his original staff still there, and they began work on a new game. And at Sony's E3 2016 presentation, we had our glimpse at his next project. It featured a naked Norman Reedus on a beach holding a baby, with a title called Death Stranding. Crowds were cheering as Kojima was back, and so soon after the release of Metal Gear Solid 5. And over the years we've been drip-fed trailers that have frankly confused the public with many strange elements and plenty of Hollywood stars added to the cast. With the release date of November 2019, many people have been wondering up to the release, what the heck is Death Stranding? But it's finally here, and I've been playing it for plenty of hours, and I'm here to bring you my review. So let's see how Kojima and the team did, shall we? When it comes to Death Stranding, the majority of people just want to know what the heck it is. What is the story? What is the actual gameplay? For many people, it's simply known as the game with the baby in it. And today I'm here to tell you what is actually going on. First up, I'm going to tell you about the story. Set many years into the future, the whole of America has gone to pot. A mysterious phenomena called the Death Stranding happened, causing a strange rift between life and death. The land is dangerous with many threats from the rain, which can dramatically age anything it touches to the invisible BTs. Death is a dangerous thing in this world, and if someone dies, their body has to be cremated, or it could explode and level an area. It's certainly an interesting premise. But for the plot, you play as Sam Porter Bridges, a porter who goes around delivering cargo around the broken and dangerous landscape to people who are in need of supplies. But Sam isn't no ordinary porter. He's enlisted by the UCA, the United Cities of America, to bring the country back together again through the power of something called the Chimera Network, which sees each community join together to build some kind of big society to try and make America just like how it was before the Death Stranding. Along with him on the journey is a tiny little baby called BB, which stands for Bridge Baby, which can detect those deadly BTs out on the field. He's an invaluable ally for Sam's journey to help rebuild America. The story premise is actually really quite fascinating, and this is just a small summary of the story, as it's really just the tip of the iceberg, as the game is full of many interesting narrative points with many characters and moments I really just don't want to spoil. Each of the game's many cutscenes are directed perfectly, feeling very much like a movie in itself. But this isn't surprising, as it's Kojima we're talking about. As for the cast, Death Stranding must be the most expensive and star-studded lineup for a video game ever. For starters, the main character Sam is played by The Walking Dead and former Silent Hill star Norman Reedus, and does deliver a solid gruff lead, and his relationship with BB is charming and sweet. We also see Silent Hill's co-director, Guillermo del Toro, back for a guest role, but he doesn't actually speak, he just lends his likeness for the character Deadman. That character is voiced brilliantly, however, by Jesse Corti. We also see Bond girl Léa Seydoux, if I've actually pronounced her name right, as the brilliant and mysterious Fragile. And then we've also got the scene-stealing Mads Mikkelsen as the mysterious Cliff. There is plenty of famous faces here, plus a few cameos from various people in show business. It's an awesome lineup of stars, and they all deliver great performances. All these narrative elements, the script, and the awesome cast all adds up to make Death Stranding one of the most richest, well-written and interesting stories of this generation. For as brilliant and incredibly interesting the story is, it's going to be the gameplay that will be the make or break for many people. The majority of the game will see you traversing the landscapes, delivering many parcels for folk all over the country. You spend all the time on your own, just you, your thoughts, parcels galore, and the open and dangerous road ahead. And for as bizarre as it sounds, the gameplay is utterly riveting and strangely addictive. Most missions see you getting your parcels, which can individually be placed on Sam, which can be a meta game in itself, as you try to get the perfect setup as you get ready to go. When you start off on your trek, you might have a small load that doesn't affect your weight, but you'll soon notice loads of cargo across the world, and you can pick that up too. But if you do pick up too much, the weight will affect your balance, meaning you could fall over. So you'll have to balance out the weight with the cargo setup, and also you have to hold L2 and R2 to keep steady on your feet. You do have to be careful though, as the terrain can be uneven and the rivers can toss you and your cargo on the floor. It isn't just the environments itself, as there's a few combat encounters out there as well. There's mules, basically exporters who are addicted to nicking your parcels and will hunt and track you down. When you get into these scrapes with these guys, it can feel a bit basic at first, as you can only deliver a few punches to knock them out, and you can also parry their attacks with a strand. But later in the game you do gain access to weapons which can make combat with these guys much more easier, but again, these just stun these guys and not actually kill them. Then we have the rain, which can be incredibly dangerous as it incredibly decays anything it touches, from plants, parcels to even human beings and animals, by rapidly aging them in horrific fashion. So you can't be out in the rain for too long, as your parcels will soon perish. But it isn't just the rain you've got to worry about, because when it rains in Death Stranding, oh boy does it pour, as the BTs come out in the rain. These hidden figures can only be seen through the power of BB, and in these sections you do have to take it very quietly, being careful not to catch their attention, because if you do, they'll chase after you and try to drag you down into this strange abyss. You can struggle your way out, but if you don't, you'll actually have to face one. And boy, is it a visual treat seeing this murky thing rise from this abyss, and to fight it, you have to chuck bags full of your own blood to kill it. Yeah, it's an odd way to fight it, and whilst it is a lovely visual spectacle and does look rather epic, after a few encounters it does get rather boring and repetitive. If you do find the combat boring and kinda cumbersome, don't worry, as the combat is probably just about 5 to 10% of the whole experience. The rest of it is exploring the world and delivering parcels to people. The game's world is split into several fairly decent sized open worlds full of parcels, UCA facility locations, and secrets to find. When you first start off Death Stranding, the actual gameplay is rather slow, as Sam only has a basic kit to help him out. But give it a few hours and you'll start to gain a great arsenal of weapons and accessories to help you out. From vehicles which can shave ages off a delivery time to the weapons I talked about earlier. Once you get an area on the Chimera network, you can access tools to help you with traversal of the land, from ladders, ropes to mechanical items that have different uses that allow you to build shelters, recharge your battery items, or even build bridges and roads to try and bring a bit of normality back to this world. Building structures like bridges and roads will take up a lot of resources, and you may struggle to make them, but this is where the game's online elements come into play. Yes, Death Stranding has its own online features to it. Once you get an area on the Chimera network, you will then start to see other players' items, cargoes and structures in your own game, and your items, structures and lost cargo will appear in other players. It's such a clever idea and really makes this rather empty and lifeless world feel incredibly lived in. You can also pop up little emoji icons to help other players out by saying danger ahead, or you could pop up a little keep on keeping on message to keep other players' momentum going. It's a fantastic idea, and it heightens even further with the likes system. Everything you do in this game offline earns you likes, from missions to just looking after BB, you get a fair amount of likes. But you also gain a load of likes from players online. Say there's a high cliff that you can't climb, you could put a ladder up there and leave it there for other players, and by helping them out they might leave you a like. or you them. It's a really clever idea that is a cool nod to the Facebook age of likes and shares. Frankly, this online element is one of the best online features I've ever seen in a game, and it really does make you feel that even when times are tough and you feel like giving up, there's always someone out there to give you a helping hand, and that you are never really alone and all the players in this game are in it together. For the game's progression, you have a collection of 70 main deliveries that are crucial to the game's plot, and you complete these to further progress the storyline. Most of these missions are just deliveries, but some do deviate from the norm, but I won't spoil that for you. It isn't just the main deliveries, as you have standard orders and premium orders, which are all completely optional deliveries, and there must be hundreds of them. And though they're not integral to the plot, these extra deliveries are very addicting, and you could easily spend a lot of time on these without even thinking about doing the main missions. To reach the game's ending, you're talking a fairly decent length affair. To get from start to finish doing only the main missions needing to progress the story, then you're talking around a good 25 to 30 hours. But if you want to complete all 70 main deliveries plus a fair amount of the hundreds and hundreds of optional side deliveries, then you could easily spend upwards of 100 hours, if not more, to 100% it. But I'd say the average person will probably get a good 30 odd hours out of it, which is very impressive indeed. On to the presentation now, and my word, this game is an outstanding looking title. From the trailers you knew it was going to be a beautiful looking title, but now finally in my hands it's one of the best looking video games ever created. The game's character models are the best I've seen in a video game, with near realistic character models of the game's many famous cast members. The game's landscape of broken and dilapidated America is also a thing of beauty, from the rocky ruins of what used to be roads to the dangerous snowy areas that are filled with brilliant snow effects. There's a lot of eye candy on offer here. But then again, this isn't surprising, as the game is running on the incredible Decima engine that was first introduced in 2017's Horizon Zero Dawn, which itself was a graphical showcase of what the PS4 can offer. And again, the Decima engine shows it's one of the best engines in the business, with Guerrilla Games helping out Kojima Productions. We have arguably the PS4 and PS4 Pro's best looking title. As for how it runs, it shouldn't be a surprise that it runs very well on both PS4 and PS4 Pro, with a tight resolution of 1080p on the standard PS4 and upscaled to near 4K on PS4 Pro. It really is top-notch stuff. Onto the frame rate now, and again it's an incredible technical showcase for both consoles, with a capped frame rate at 30 FPS for both consoles, and they both keep it with hardly a drop in sight. It's an incredible technical achievement, considering that many games now seem to really struggle on the older hardware, but here both consoles run flawlessly with the extra technical enhancements for the Pro. It wouldn't be a Kojima game if there wasn't an awesome soundtrack, and yes, Death Stranding has a mighty fine one at that. Mostly featuring music from Low Raw and a few other tracks from some other artists, Death Stranding's soundtrack is incredibly well created, with some lovely, haunting and thought-provoking tracks, taking inspiration from Red Dead Redemption 2, which played a song during certain riding sections. Death Stranding features the same style here. As you trek out, you'll start to hear music playing, and all the tracks that feature really do fit in well with what you're doing. In a creative choice, you can't actually play any of these songs in the open world, which is a shame, but you can listen to them all in your private room. I've never heard of anything of Low Raw before playing Death Stranding, and now I actually really quite like them. The highlight track for me has to be the opening theme, Don't Be So Serious. It's so haunting and suits the world so well. Conclusion time now, and Death Stranding will go down in history as one of the most polarising games of all time. There will be discussions years after this game's released on what you actually thought of it. And yes, the game is the definition of a Marmite title. You're either gonna love the long treks across this beautiful world or find it one of the most boringest games of all time. For me, I'm in the former camp. From start to finish, I really enjoyed my time with the game, from the incredible story and cast of characters to the fantastic soundtrack and unbelievable presentation. The gameplay was bizarrely addictive. Searching the land and delivering loads of parcels was an utter joy, and the online aspects of the game are incredibly well put together. Whilst I do think the combat is a bit so-so, there wasn't a lot of it to spoil my experience. I think Death Stranding is one of the best PS4 exclusives out there, with so many reviewers divided on the game. The best thing you can do for yourself is to try it yourself, probably when the game drops down in price. So with that, I'm giving Death Stranding a 9.5 out of 10 with the title of amazing. Thank you for watching my review, like, rate and subscribe, and until next time, happy gaming. Bye.